Welcome to episode 23 of Wednesday Night Asylum. Who would have thought we've ever made it to 23? Who would have thought we would have made it to number two, episode two? But we're at episode 23 now, and I just got some stuff to talk to you about tonight. Tonight is the 18th anniversary of the ruthless aggression era. And the first person that you think of when you hear the ruthless aggression era, of course, is retired WWE superstar John Cena. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. I was back and forth a fan of John Cena during the ruthless aggression era, past the ruthless aggression era. But right now, I'd meet John Cena if I could. But you know what? Tonight is not about high hopes. Tonight is not about high hopes of meeting your favorite superstar. Tonight, I'm going to talk to you about some different things that I want to talk to you about. And first off, it's what let's deal with this topic first. All right, it's the 18th anniversary of the ruthless aggression era, the end of it. Well, also today is the 19th year anniversary of the Chris Benoit fiasco that went on 19 years ago, and this is going to be controversial. This is going to be a warning label needs to be posted all over this screen right now. I mean, if you are not ready to hear about death, violent death, domestic violence, the whole 9 yards, if that's going to trigger you in any way, if that's going to hurt you in any way, you don't listen to it. Don't listen to this podcast because there's a lot of stuff that I'm going to talk about on this podcast that deals with domestic violence, deals with violent death. First off, Chris Benoit. All right, look, I met Chris Benoit, sort of, met Chris Benoit. This is my Chris Benoit story, and this is my true story about meeting Chris Benoit. We were outside the Trade Center after a Saturday night, WCW Saturday Night's main event was filmed, and we're outside the Trade Center. I was outside the Trade Center with the people that brought me. I was in junior high at the time, so it proves how far back that was. And Chris Benoit comes out of the back of the Trade Center. He starts gunning toward his car and just speed walking it. And I had like this piece of paper, and it wasn't even a lined piece of paper. It's like a piece of paper that you put into printers, a piece of copy of paper. And I had a pen. And I asked Chris Benoit to sign my piece of paper. Like I said, I was only in junior high at the time. I was no more than eighth grade. I was probably seventh grade, to be honest. And so 13-ish, 14-ish maybe at the most. And he blasted me out of the water. He's like, "I'm not signing that darn. I'm being nice." He cussed me out of the water, told me he wasn't going to sign my piece of paper. Then decided that he not only was he not going to sign my piece of paper, but if I didn't get out of his way, he was going to tear the piece of paper up. Now that was my meeting with Chris Benoit, and that was 30 years ago. 30 years ago. Because I'm going to be 43 my birthday, and I was at least 13 then. So 30 years ago. And so was that because of CTE? No, I don't think so. I think in a way he probably had some sort of regular mental illness on top of the CTE. All right, on top of the CTE problems. And people can hate me or love me because of that. I think he had some sort of regular mental illness on top of the CTE problems. And I say that because I really think that if you watch the Dark Side of the Ring episodes on Eddie Guerrero and I think it's on Eddie, it's on the Chris Benoit one. When Eddie died, it talks about Eddie dying and how hard he took that. Well, if Chris Benoit's not going to take time off work, like they say in those episodes of the Dark Side of the Ring, Jericho says, man, dude, why didn't you just ask for that time off? And talked about Chris Benoit doing these lunges that nobody told him to do because he wasn't in trouble. I mean, if he's going to take the business that seriously, he's not going to take the time off work to to get the proper mental health treatments that he needed after Eddie died. It would take a whole lot more than giving somebody a notebook and saying, writing this notebook like you're writing to Eddie, like they were saying on that, like Chris, like Nancy woman sister said they did. I mean, I swear, man, I think Eddie's death triggered something. And like I said, this show is going to be controversial. This show is going to be, um, a warning label needs to be stepped on it because, look, I think it's messed up. I think it's absolutely messed up that Chris Benoit did me that way at age 13, because I didn't ask him again. About the time he said that, one of the members of Public Enemy, and I cannot remember their names to save my life, is like, but one of the members of Public Enemy said, "Come here, son, I'll sign it for you." I'll remember that to this day. I remember those words to this day. I remember those words happening right after Chris Benoit saying, "Get that out of my face," or it wasn't in his face, but if you ask me again, I'm going to tear it up. All right, look. So I just said, "Screw you, Chris Benoit." I went over to a member of Public Enemy and I had him sign it, and I had a bunch of other people signed that paper that night. Like I said, man, it's just a piece of copying paper and ink pen. That's it. I mean, yeah, because a piece of copying paper and an ink pen, Chris Benoit threatened to tear it up. And I'm just saying, look, if he's going to be that way towards me, that happened freaking at 13, so 30 divided, take away 19, 11 years beforehand, 11 years before he killed Nancy, he killed his son, and he killed himself. Look, do I think he had CTE? Do I think he had CTE? Yes, I do believe that he had CTE. I do believe he had brain damage because of his, the diving headbutt, boom, the chair shots, boom. It's like, the wrestling was a whole lot different back then. I understand that. I understand you took moves, you took shots to the head. I understand that. I understand that completely. And it's just like, but I think there's a lot more there than just CTE. I think there were, for somebody to kill their wife, kill their son, then eventually get around to killing themselves. There's a lot more there than just CTE. In all honesty, I will go to my deathbed believing that there's a lot more there than CTE. And it's just like, I mean, I think there was a lot. I mean, all we know about it is this one time. All we know about it is this one time. And like I said, he should have taken time off after Eddie died. He really should have, and got the proper mental health treatment. If he didn't get the proper mental health treatment ahead of time before Eddie died, and with whatever was wrong with him, man. Do I think he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? No, I don't. Not at all. I mean, I just don't. I'm sorry. And I know there's people out there that's probably watching this that disagree with me. That's your right to disagree with me. That's your right to disagree with me. But do I believe that he deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? No, not whatsoever. Do I deserve woman deserves to be in the Hall of Fame? Yes, I do. I do. And do I believe that his other son, his older son, what's his name, David? I can't remember his name. Deserves to push as a wrestler? Yes, I do. But do I think WWE would give it to him? No, I don't. Do I think he would work out in AEW? Yeah, I believe Chris Benoit's older son would work out in AEW if he wanted to become a wrestler. I mean, honestly, honest to God, it's just like, I think it could happen. I think it could happen with Sting's son, and they could be a tag team. Now, I'm going way off script right now, like I'm good at doing, but it's just, he doesn't deserve to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And do I think that there's ever going to be a conversation about it? No, I don't. I really don't. I mean, he killed his family, and at some point in time killed himself because he couldn't live with killing him. He couldn't live with the fact that he killed his family, or he didn't want to go to prison. Like I said, this show's gonna be controversial. This is 19 years in the making. I mean, we're talking about a murder, a death situation that covered all media. It covered CNN, covered Fox News, it covered every single news organization out there. And all I remember, I quit being a Chris Benoit fan after he treated me the way he did. Absolutely, positively. I stopped being a Chris Benoit fan then. And then this happened. I remember I turned on Raw that night, and Vince McMahon was in the ring talking about this is going to be a special 3-hour edition of Raw or something, and something. It's going to be a special edition of Raw, and they were just showing Chris Benoit highlights. I didn't watch it. I mean, I'm sorry. I hate that happened to the woman. I hate that happened to his younger son Daniel, and but I think that they needed to do a whole lot more, as much more as what they possibly could do, than just hand Chris Benoit a notebook, and a pen, and say, use this as your therapy. Use this as your therapy. Whenever you think of Eddie, write something down. You know what I'm saying? Look, I mean, I am not saying that it would have helped, but it might have. I'm playing Monday morning quarterback right now. I mean, if Chris Benoit got the proper mental health awareness, if they went to McMahon and Vince and said, look, you can't do this or whatever, if they made sure he got in therapy, sure, if they did some sort of brain scan, I'm sure it'd show CTE, but honest to God, man, it might have worked. They might have found what his underlying problem was other than CTE. They might have got him on the proper meds if he would have taken them. And you know what? He might still be here today. Woman might still be here today. Their younger son might be 19 years older today. And maybe would have still been married or not. I don't know. This is a hypothetical crap I'm spilling out right now. But it's just nuts. It's just absolutely nuts, because woman didn't deserve that. She got out of that relationship with a taskmaster, and that's evidently an abusive relationship. At least they mentioned one abusive episode on that episode of Dark Side of the Ring, and mentioned Benoit beating the taskmaster's tail at Bash at the Beach. For real, they went for a shoot. It wasn't a work; it was a shoot between the taskmaster and Chris Benoit at Bash at the Beach. And so for Waltman to leave that relationship with the taskmaster, to go from being slapped around to being murdered, I mean, there's no other way to say it. She was murdered. And people can disagree with me. People can hate on me for this podcast. Look, we all have our opinions about everything. Each and every one of us do. And maybe Eddie's death triggered something in Benoit. That's why I said maybe Eddie's death triggered something in Benoit, and Benoit needed to have the proper psychiatric care at the time after Eddie's death, instead of being handed a notebook, being handed a pen. He needed to take the time off. Chris Jericho was right. If he wanted those days off, he should have asked for those days off. But no, he was diehard into the business. You know what? I cannot, complain against workaholics. I can't blame people for being workaholics. And I'm a workaholic with the things I do. My dad was a workaholic when I was growing up, so I cannot fault workaholics. But when it's affecting you mentally, that's one thing. And 19 years, 19 years, and it's hard to believe. It's hard to believe, and I am going to stop on that subject right now since I'm 16 minutes in, and because I've said pretty much all I can say on that subject, and I'm going to move on to the other subjects I have for tonight, and that is this. What about Liv? I don't know if I brought this up last week. If I'm repeating myself, I'm sorry, but what about Liv Morgan's stalker getting found not guilty by reason of insanity? That is like the toughest defense a lawyer can bring to the table, and for him to get found not guilty by reason of insanity, then get all charges marked against him taken away, closed out, case closed out. He's insane. That's nuts. That's nuts to me. Now, if I said that last week in episode 22 video, once again, I'm sorry, and I apologize for this too. Rhea Ripley, somebody got her real number, man. Somebody got her real phone number. I mean, real phone number, and started texting her saying, "I don't have money for SmackDown tickets. Will you come to your gate and meet me?" How creepy is that? Now, I've seen some of these fans at events, man. It's just like some fans are just so creepy. Like there's this one guy named Mark. I don't know his last name, but Mark. He goes to an event, a wrestling event, the AWF event that my buddy Tony goes to all the time. And Tony said that he used to have a female wrestler named Maddie coming to those events and setting up in the gimmick room and signing autographs and taking pictures with the fans until the fact Mark kept asking her out on a date. Kept asking her out on a date and kept like waiting for her to come into the gimmick room. What's up with that? Now, have you seen this guy? I've seen him. I've seen the guy. The guy's got no teeth. He's a young guy. I think he's a young guy. I think he's young. He's younger than me, at least, with absolutely no teeth. He's severely delayed. All right, he's severely delayed, and I'm not making fun of his special needs at all, but severely delayed with some sort of special needs, and but he would wait outside the area going into the gimmick room for Maddie to come out and keep asking when she's coming out. So Maddie eventually quit coming to those events. Maddie eventually quit going to those events because Mark would just hunt him down. How creepy is that? I mean, I'm telling you right now, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's like then I saw where Jordan Grace posted something. As everybody knows, well, as everybody that knows me knows, I am the man who brought Jordan Grace to FarleyCon in 2021. That's going to be on my gravestone. The man, the alien who brought Jordan Grace to FarleyCon in 2021. Anyway, I saw where she posted something. I saw where she posted something about creepy fans or strange fans or something like that. If you show up at my front door, I have 7 dogs, and I have a gun. 7 dogs and a gun. Look, like I said, if I'm repeating myself from last week, I'm sorry. But if I was to fight Jordan Grace, if I had to fight Jordan Grace, all right, there's no way around it. I had to defend myself and fight Jordan Grace. I could only imagine fighting Jordan Grace or with regular, maneuvers, right? Much less having Jordan Grace with a gun at me. I'm like, shoot, man, that's the last person's front yard I'm gonna show up at. Rhea Ripley might be the next. That might be tied. I'm not saying what is up with these people. Look, I'm going to tell you something, guys. To all the guys that are watching this podcast right now, to all you guys that think you're good looking, you're amazing, you're alpha males, you're this, you're that, you're perfect. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Shit. Uh, Excuse me. Excuse my language, but I'm not sorry. All right. These female wrestlers do not want to date you. They do not want to date you. They do not want to date me. They do not want to date you. I might have wrote the Wrestling Romance trilogy. Might have. Yes, I did. I wrote the Wrestling Romance trilogy. That's the closest to dating a female wrestler I'm ever going to get, and it's closer than any of y'all will ever get. So with y'all, so with all y'all out there thinking that you need to be flirtatious with these girls at meet and greets, that's that's one thing in itself. That's one thing in itself to be flirtatious with one of the girls at the meet and greet. But another thing is getting their number, thinking they're going to come to their front yard to meet you. That's crazy, y'all. That's absolutely crazy because they don't want nothing to do with you. They don't want nothing to do with you at all. I mean, let's just be real. None of these female wrestlers want to date you. And I don't care what you look like. They'll date other wrestlers. They'll date movie stars. They'll date other people in the 1%. But you don't bring anything to the table, dude. Honestly. Now, moving on. While we're talking about female wrestlers, let's talk about which women's champion currently in WWE is your favorite. Mine, of course, is Rhea Ripley. By far, Rhea Ripley. By far, Rhea Ripley's my favorite. And Rhea Ripley's coming out with a doll. They're coming out with a Rhea Ripley doll. I mean, I don't know if anybody saw that on Facebook or not, but they're coming out with the Rhea Ripley doll, and I plan on getting it. I will get it. What have I been planning on? I will get it. I will get that Rhea Ripley doll. And let's go back. Let's go back to what I was saying about guys and women dating them. Look, they say alpha males want Liv Morgan and Sol Ruka. And they say submissive males want Io Sky and JC Jane. JC Jane. Now look, I don't know if I agree with that or not. I think if you're a submissive male, you might want to submit to Liv Morgan or Sol Ruka. Or if you're an alpha male, you still might have an Asian fetish and want to be with Io Sky or JC Jane. I mean, but JC Jane's not Asian, but still. I'm just saying. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know what to say about that one. And I tend to be a submissive male in areas of my life. I'd be submissive towards Sol Ruka or Liv Morgan if it wasn't a fantasy and it could really happen. Or out of Io Sky and JC Jane, who would I be submissive to? That'd be JC Jane. I'm not really into Io Sky that much. Okay, that's my weird topic of the week. That's the weird topic of the week. So moving on. I understand that Sol Ruka has gone dark on social media after criticisms of her racial identity. As we all know, Sol Ruka identifies as African American because her father is African American and her mother's Caucasian, but her father's African American, so she identifies as African American, which is fine. I don't care. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't affect me watching her wrestle. I mean, really, honest to God, it doesn't affect me watching her wrestle. Doesn't affect none of that. And so why does it matter what color what race she claims to be, or what race she wants to be identified as? I mean, there's a woman. Now, I promise not to get weird again, but there's a woman over in Great Britain who makes thousands of dollars a month acting out her life on camera like she's a puppy dog. Okay? Yeah, you heard me right. She makes thousands of dollars a month on either OnlyFans or a site like that, where she goes on there and she acts like she's a puppy dog. And I guess she does what people tell her. I don't know. I really don't know how it works. I just know I heard about it on Greg Garfield and one night a long time ago, years ago. And so if a woman can act like she's a puppy dog and make thousands of dollars a month, and that's not called out on being anything negative, why can't Sol Ruka just claim to be African American because she's actually African American? She might want to be. I mean, well, if she wants to be considered biracial or not, it doesn't matter. She can be whatever race she wants to be. I mean, whatever she claims. I mean, especially in today's world. Anyway, moving on. Check some of this stuff off here. All right, let's move back to Liv Morgan. Did you know Liv Morgan was having a $2,000 meet and greet? $2,000. I guess that's to make sure there's no perfect guys show up, or at least to make sure if the perfect guys show up that they got money. Because the random person can't afford a $2,000 meet and greet. That's just crazy, man. That's just crazy. $2,000 meet and greet. And while we're still on Liv Morgan, who's going to turn on Liv Morgan first? Who will turn on Liv Morgan first? Will it be Raquel Rodriguez? Will it be Roxanne Perez? I don't know. It's a coin toss. That's a two-faced coin toss right there. I'm just saying, man. Just reading over my notes here. I'm sorry for the silence. Here's a question. Here's a question right here. Who will win in a real fight? Van Damme versus Seagal or Stallone versus Arnold? Okay, let me start with Stallone and Arnold. I'm gonna say Stallone would beat Arnold in a real fight, and I'm gonna say Seagal could possibly. I'm gonna pick Seagal over Van Damme. Real fight time. Real Fight Club. Speaking of real fights, did y'all see that fight at WrestleCon where Big Vito Brand beat up that construction worker guy? Well, I understand that construction worker guy's now saying all that was a work, and I said that. I said that. If it's true, if it's true, if it was really a work, um, if it's true, if it was really a work, that he really wasn't hurt, that Vito didn't hurt him, and all that kind of stuff. Um, I honestly, God say that I was right all along, that it was a work between Vito and that construction worker guy at WrestleCon, and doesn't surprise me because when you're unknown, the alien assassin, you're always right. Speaking of heel turns, let's talk about Lara Valkyrie heel turn on Bailey. Lara Valkyrie turned heel on Bailey, and I like that. I really do like that. I'm interested in seeing what she's going to do as a heel, how she's going to act like a heel, how she's going to be a heel all the way through. I really am, and so I'm interested to see how that folds out. I really am, really am. here's an odd topic. After leaving WWE, Miss Elizabeth worked worked over worked over the powerboats on ESPN. Miss Elizabeth was a powerboat commentator on ESPN after leaving WWE. Didn't y'all know that? Didn't y'all know that at all? I mean, I didn't. That's just shocked me. And this is another shocking thing. Goldberg says Triple H is a cool guy, regardless of their past. Now, look, what I remember about one thing I remember about Goldberg's and Triple H's past. I remember when Triple H showed up at that, I believe it was the first Tough Enough, and they went to Al Snow's training facility, and somebody had Goldberg on their wall, and he ripped the Goldberg poster down, and he came to that facility and was talking bad about Goldberg and said, if guy gets a hangnail and he quits, guy gets a hangnail and wants time off. Yeah. Now let's go back to some divas. Let's go back to some women's wrestlers. Tessa Blanchard was released from her TNA contract halfway through her initial contract. Tessa Blanchard was released from her TNA contract halfway through her initial contract, and it has to do with them not wanting her to work for CMLL. And you know who works with CMLL? AEW. And you know who works with TNA? WWE. So yeah, of course they didn't want her to work for CMLL, with AEW being working with CMLL. And of course, WWE didn't want that. Probably WWE didn't want that. Big Brother, man. Talking about Big Brothers. Speaking of TNA, TNA is expected to sign a deal to make OVW their new developmental company. And you know what? They need to. They really need to. TNA needs to sign that deal, make OVW their own little developmental company. They should, because they're losing people left and right. I know I said this last week about them losing Tommy Dreamer and all them, but TNA is losing people left and right. And Nick Nemeth has said that the backstage area of TNA is nuts now. It's just like craziness, all sorts of craziness and shenanigans going on. But so they do. They need to sign for OVW to be their developmental league. They really do. It might put some hope back. It might put some hope back in their company. What do I think about the toxic spider Tekla? Question of the week. What do I think about the toxic spider Tekla? She reminds me a lot of the ex-girlfriends I met online. Honestly. Craziness, toxic craziness. I mean, Tekla really reminds me of the past girlfriends I met online. Were they as pretty as Tekla? No, they weren't, but they were as crazy like Tekla. I mean, like I said, I'm a submissive guy. And Tekla's toxicity would really make me a submissive guy to her. Like the girls I met online made me a submissive guy to them. And I'm glad she's with AEW. I'm glad that she's the women's champion in AEW. I would like to see her have 2 belts on her, but I would like to see her win the TBS championship too, and then the Sky Blue and Julia Hart win the tag team belts, and that'd be the ultimate triangle of the death right there. I mean, but Tekla, oh God, I'm just saying, she is a feisty one. Okay. Jeff Jarrett questions why TNA's parent company gave WWE a buyout option. Well, they don't want it no more. They don't want it no more. It's plain and simple. They're just doing what's best for business. And speaking of what's best for business, I saw this. It said Dave Batista voted greatest wrestler turned turned actor, says Hollywood Reporter. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm going to research that for next week. I'm going to research this. This is going to follow me over into next week, episode 24, and I'll get you an answer on that. Right, I guarantee you that. Now, which is better? Question number 2: which is better, WWE or AEW? Well, look, I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm just gonna be strictly honest with you. If I watch wrestling, I usually watch AEW because there's a lot of people on AEW that I haven't seen before, that I haven't seen wrestle before, matches I haven't seen before, and I'm more of an AEW guy. I am more of an AEW guy, and I know tonight has been controversial, so I'm gonna end it there. I'm gonna let y'all soak up all my information, and be sure to like, subscribe, and the whole 9 yards. And be sure to check back in next week with episode 24 of Wednesday Night Asylum.